Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instruction on completing the task at hand. Visit my YouTube channel and watch my disclaimer video. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you find the information you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove a headliner, strip the material off and replace it on a passenger car. I'm doing this on a Volvo 850, but it'll be similar on many other vehicles. This is a two-part video. The first part, I took the headliner out of a 93 850. The second part, I took the headliner out of I think it was a 99 V70. A couple of minor differences. The one thing I did notice is that the sun visor retainers came out a little different. I don't know what year they switched that out, but if in the 93 car you turn them a little bit counterclockwise and they popped out, and in the V70 you just pulled the front end closest to the windshield down and out because the back of them was hooked in. When you're measuring for the material to install on top of the roof liner, I would measure the top of the vehicle and add 6 inches on the front and back, and then maybe 6 or 8 inches on the side. Make sure you got enough material to cover the inside liner with the bow and the roof. These are the tools you need to do the job of removing a headliner and stripping it down, putting it back together, and reinstalling it. Anytime you have a car that the headliner is falling down, basically what's happening is you have a material here and it's got a foam backing. When the foam backing starts breaking down, it loses its ability to stay together, and the material on the outside starts to fall while the board on the back is still up there. So you get your headliner that starts falling down in different parts of the car. Now, if you got a sunroof, this is not as bad, but if you don't have a sunroof and it's falling over your head, a lot of times the material will let the foam come through the pores of the material. And if you look, when you hit bumps and stuff, you'll notice that the foam is snowing down into the car. That stuff's getting in your hair, you're breathing it. It's just, I don't think it's good or healthy for you. So if you got a headliner that's coming down, flapping in the breeze, go ahead and rip it out, get it replaced, or take it to a shop, have them do it. So basically what's going to happen is you got to take everything off the roof that could be holding it up. Then any brackets or attachments that you have that holds the headliner to the top of the car, you got to pull that out. Then you'll have the board loose. You work it down and out of the car without damaging or breaking it. If you damage or break it, it's going to be a mess. When you put it back up, you'll have a seam or a break in the board, and you don't want that. So you got to be real careful taking the board out. Then you scrape the board off, tear all the material off, scrape it off. You take your new material and some special headliner glue. You spray this glue across the board, and then you tack the new material on there. You trim it, then you put everything back together. So here we go. First thing I'm going to do on this car is I'm going to take off the pillars. The A pillars going along the front, the B pillars between the doors, and the C pillars on the back. I'm probably not going to take them all the way off, just take them loose. But basically on this vehicle, they just pull and snap off. So I'm going to take these pillars off, the B pillars first, then the A pillars, then work on the hood pillars going toward the back. Now when you pull these pillars off, you got to be gentle and you got to be careful because they could be brittle. On this car, one of the pillars just broke right in half, and you don't want that to happen because now you got a mess. You got to go replace that pillar. So I got that loose from the ceiling, and I'm going to go to the other side and get the other one loose. Then I'm going to take loose this little pin here, which ties this front trim to the back trim so I can get them apart. And now I'm going to just pull the trim off being careful not to let it snap off in my hands. And this trim pulls in towards the inside of the car. And you see it's breaking as I'm pulling it. So you got to be careful when you do that. On these A-pillars, once you get them broke loose a little bit, then you lift them out. Now that I got the A-pillar trim off and that B-pillar trim loose, I can't get the trim up the top of there loose until I pull the handles. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the handles, and I'm going to remove these sun visors. And on the sun visors, you should be able to unplug them down near the bottom of the A-pillar and put a socket on those clips over the bolts there. They hinge, and you pop one side of them loose with a screwdriver and you undo them. I believe they're 10 millimeter. So you pop these loose like that, and you take the bolts out front and back. You go ahead and pull the plug off and unplug the electrical to those rear lights. And those handles, once you get those 10 millimeter bolts out, those handles just pull off. When taking these handles off, they come off better when you pry them up and then work them out that way. When you take these sun visors off the front, if you decide that you want to clip the wires instead of unplugging them, make sure you disconnect the battery first, because if you short out the wires by cutting them, you'll mess up your dome lights and cause a problem with the relay. So make sure you disconnect the battery first. To get these sunroof clips out, you turn them a quarter of a turn back and then pull them down and they come out. Now I'm going to take this out, and you pop these lights down. Once you get these lights down, there's a T15 in here, I believe it is, and you unscrew those, and then this will drop down. Once you get those T15s pulled out and you pull this down, the back first, then out the front, then you unplug the wire. Next thing you do is grab these temperature sensor covers and just pull them out. Before you pull this trim off here, you need to pull these back C-pillar trims loose so you can get that last clip out of that back top trim. Next, I grab that trim that goes from behind that B-pillar back to the back window. I pull it in toward the middle to get it out. Next, I'm going to pull the sunroof shade open, and I'm going to pull the trim off from around the border of the sunroof. It kind of just clips in place, but it's real fragile. So what I normally do is I work a screwdriver in the edge of it, and I pop it loose all the way around and take it out. Now when I look at the sunroof trim after I got it out, there's an attachment in the middle. There's an attachment right in between the middle and each side. So there's 3 kind of wedging attachment points on the back. There's 3 on the front. And then on the side, there's only a wedge in the middle. I start in the middle with a screwdriver and I bump it loose, but I try not to bump it too hard, because if you bump it too hard, you'll break it like this. And if you break it like that, then just work it around the rest of the way. So you may want to start in the back. That way if you break it, you'll have your break in the back in the middle. If you don't have a sunroof, that's one less thing you have to worry about. Last but not least, in the sedans, you have these little sunshade retainers there that holds the roof liner up. What you need to do, you need to get those, and you need to turn them 190 degrees, then pull them out. Now you should be ready to take your roof liner down. Alright, so on one side I start working the roof liner down, and there's a piece of Velcro on the back of the sunroof that I pull loose, and I have one side down. Now I'm going to try to pull it a little bit towards me and get the other side to drop from around that trim over there. Once the back is loose, you want to pivot everything, shift everything to the front and get it around your mirror, and then push it up in the windshield area so that the front of it's that way, and the back of it is hanging down onto the back of the front seats. You really want to take the seats and recline them as far as possible, if not remove them. Now that the liner's hanging down, I'm going to go ahead and take all of the wiring off of the hood liner so that I don't try to damage none of it pulling it out, and you can just stick it and tape it to the top until you get the putting the hood liner back in. So take all the wiring off the back of the hood liner. Now that I got all the wiring detached from the hood liner, I go ahead and have the seat reclined on the passenger side. I go ahead and work the hood liner out of this back door area because I don't want to break it. I couldn't move that seat where I needed to, so I couldn't maneuver it out of one of the back doors. So I lowered the two back seats and I'm working it out of the back trunk area. So that may be the best way to get it out without it breaking on you. It's bending in a couple spots, but it don't look like it's going to break. So here I'm working it out of the trunk area. A lot easier if you have a wagon, but it looks like it's going to come out of the sedan okay this way. If you have a Volvo 850, it does come out of the trunk area okay. If you have another kind of car, try to work it and get it to come out of the back door. So there it is. It's got a couple of little folds in it, but that'll be okay. It doesn't have any tears in it. Now if you're going to take your shade and remove the liner on that, it's not the thick foamy material like this on the rest of the hood liner, but I believe you'll be able to get it out if you take the sunroof out, and then you can release some clips and lift it out. If you're removing the sunroof assembly, the next thing you want to do is disconnect your drain tubes. You get a drain tube there, you get a drain tube here, and then you got a couple of drain tubes on the other side. After you disconnect your drain tubes, you got bolts around the edge. They look like 10 millimeter. You got one on the corner, and you got one there, one up by the front door there. You got a couple in the middle near the motor, and you'll of course have to pull the motor down and the control switch. Then you take those bolts down on the other side and your sunroof assembly will come out. While you have your hood liner down, you might want to make sure these seals are still properly put into the sunroof. This one was hanging out. Right here on both sides of the car, you can see the climate control sensors that has a little fan in them. It has two, look like T25s and a plug in it. So you almost have to take the hood liner down to get at them, but you may be able to work them out without taking the liner down. Of course, if you're dealing with a station wagon, things are a little different. So I'm going to cover that real quick. First thing you want to do is pop your little light assembly down and unplug it. So let me get that loose. So you push a little tab in with the screwdriver, pull that down, and then unplug the wire for the light assembly. Next, you come over here and get your small screwdriver, pop these two pieces out, and take the bolt out that's under each one of them. So you got a T25 under each one of those clips, and you got a T25 under those. Pull those screws out. Next, you want to pop those clips off of the hood liner there. Now you want to lower this trim in the middle. Be careful not to break it because it's probably fragile and it's got a couple of clips under it, but you've already removed the two torque screws that was holding it up. So you can see the clips that was holding it on the forward side. Those was plugged into. You might want to pull that forward side down and then work the back side down after that, because the back side has some different metal clips that clip up into the frame of the car. Get these lights down. You just pry open the tip of it like that and then get the screws behind them. On the newer cars, the S and V70, you pry these down and lift them out. Then you twist the red thing in, and then you move these and push them in, to get this B-frame off of the wall there. So now this B-frame will slide out off of the wall once you get these clips out of the way. On these newer cars, these sun visor holders don't twist out. You got to pull the bottom out and they pop out, and then work them toward the front because they got a big hook on them. On the wagons, when you're taking that trim off above the rear doors, you take the trim loose from the B pillar first in the middle between the front and rear doors, and then you pop the clip loose in the middle of the door, and then you maneuver the rear of this piece from behind that trim there. Has a special clip that holds it in place that you have to be careful how you maneuver it out of there so you don't break it. Now that you get everything loose from around the hood liner, except for this piece here, you pull this loose and be careful, and then you just work it down one clip at a time, and it'll come out like that. So be careful you don't break none of the trim pieces when you're working that down on both sides. Now if you got a rear jump seat, you don't have to take the seat belt loose because the trim will slide down over it. You only need to take that loose if you think you want to remove this side rear trim all the way out. Alright, after all the trim is off from around the top, you got to get these pieces off on the B pillar. To get, you just turn them a little bit, about 1/8 of a turn counterclockwise, and it just fell out of my hand. And then I'm going to unclip the hood liner from there, and then I'm going to shift the whole liner, pull it down and shift it toward the windshield to get it from around the mirror. Okay, after I got those clips loose from the B pillar, reach my hand up in the hood liner and I push down, and it releases the Velcro pieces that are along the middle. And then I'm going to make sure I get these wires loose like I did on the sedans and work the hood liner off of the mirror up there, and then slide it forward. When I slide it forward, it comes out of the clips at the back door, and then I'm going to slide it back out of the rear hatch. Okay, that's the hood liner loose from the roof. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide it out the back. After you have the hood liner out of a car, I recommend that you use a picnic table or a couple of horses to set the liner on. And now if you got any of those stick pins in, you want to pull those out, and then you want to peel the material off of the phenolic backing of the hood liner. You may want to use a little face mask or something, because you may not want this material in your face. But here's the material. Comes off the hood liner kind of easy. And as you can see, this foam now, it's just not as, it's not foam as the way it needs to be anymore. So what you need to do is get a hard brush or a wire brush or something and scrape all of this foam off of this phenolic black backing the whole way up the hood liner. I actually called this hood liner a phenolic backing, but it may actually be some kind of fiberglass backing. At any rate, you don't want to crease it and break it, and because you want to reuse it, and that's what they normally do. I don't know how much these things cost whole, probably about $500 if you bought a new one from the dealer. Anyway, that's what the side looks like that's up on the ceiling. And once you clean all of the foam material off of it, it'll look like this on this side. Now, I don't have this to do now because I just tore this apart just to make this video to show you guys how to get it out and what has to be done. But in general, you have that whole piece cleared off. Now the next thing you got to do is prepare the new material to go on there. And you don't want to stretch it. You just want to lay it out over the material, and then you want to cut a piece big enough so that you have a little bit of overlap, maybe an inch or two overlap the whole way around. Now what I normally do is, if I have a sedan, I'll have 3 cans of very high quality headliner glue. Those cans may be $8 a piece or $12 a piece or something like that. But for a sedan, I'll have 3 cans. For a wagon, I'll have 4 cans. Because you got to spray this, and this is like contact glue. You got to spray it on the hood liner, and then I normally spray it on the material, on the new material backing as well. When you spray the glue out to cover your hood liner, it'll come out in a fan pattern. So you want to evenly spray it across. You go one way, you move up a little bit, go the other way, move up a little bit, and you just work your way across the whole hood liner, and you want to get a nice even pattern all the way down. Once you get all the way down, you want to move to the side direction and make a new pattern going this way, back and forth. And you may have to make 3 passes to get it totally covered on the hood liner. I mean 3 different sections while you're going across, because you want a nice even coverage. Now make sure you got the edges covered well, because you want that hood liner to stick to the edges as well. Now you got to be in an environment like a garage, because you can't have no wind blowing or nothing like that, and you need help. You can't do this by yourself. So you take your material, you turn it upside down so that your foam side is up. You already got it cut so that it will fit over your hood liner, phenolic or fiberglass, and then you spray it the same way. You go this way, right and left first, and then you go sideways, up and down second. Then you have your helper help you, and you take it, you flip it over. Now this is contact glue, so you can't let it touch each other. You may want to cross your arms when you pick it up. You flip it over so that your arms are not crossed. Then you walk it back over your hood liner, and you set it down, and you got to set it down pretty much perfect. What I normally do is have it kind of bowed up so that the middle drops down into the hood liner first. And if you had a third person, the third person can use a broom or a wish broom or some kind of hand broom and brush it out from the middle, and then work your way out to the edges so that your hood liner falls down in that material perfectly. Well, once you get all of those little holes and notches cut out, that material is already, the glue set in there, that contact glue, it's set in there. You can go ahead, clean your hands, and slide that in and start the reinstallation procedures. So you'll reinstall it in the reverse order. If you have any questions, go ahead and post it. And if I get around to doing one of these sometime soon, I'll come back and redo this video and splice it together. But it's pretty much the way I explained it. If you feel that this information was beneficial, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can get notification of future videos that I post. Visit my channel. I have all types of do-it-yourself videos there. You can leave questions here, and I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. You can also visit my website at robertspinner.com. Thanks again for watching.